All right. You heard me talk. You heard some customers talk. You saw a pretty well-produced video. The marketing team's getting quite good at that. I think it's time we actually talked about some product. So I'm going to bring up, in a few minutes, Jerry Jones and Jonathan Sparks, and Jonathan does have his red shoes, and they're going to talk about an app that they built actually a while ago. I tasked them to build a real app. We actually built this to manage the provisioning of lab instances inside of ServiceNow. Whether you realize it or not, all those labs you take, we provision a lot of instances for them, and we have an app that manages it. And I actually asked Jonathan and Jerry to build that app. So they're going to come up and talk to you about, I think it's actually got a bug in it that they may be working on. So with that said, let me bring up Jerry Jones and Jonathan Sparks to show you how to build some apps quickly or fast. Need this? Sir?
Okay, so thank you, Pat. I'm Jonathan. This is Jerry.
Morning.
And we get to talk to you about some new developer tools. So we are absolutely committed at ServiceNow to building a platform for you developers that you will love. In many cases, what this has meant is that we have had to translate developer tools that have traditionally only been available on your laptop or on your desktop into the cloud, which, as it turns out, is not an easy engineering task. But we have done exactly that. So you've seen some of these things. We've released things like Studio, things like improving our scripting environment, source control integration with Git, and Service Portal, all so that you can build great user experiences for your end users with modern web technologies, all in the cloud. Now, these are all solutions to challenges that we can't really claim were our ideas. These are things that you told us that we needed to do. And recently, you've told us about a few new challenges. So let's talk about those now. The first one is around user confusion. When your users get confused, they get stuck. The second is around testing. So no matter what platform you're building on, testing is something that you have to do. And it's something that just doesn't have a lot of great options today. And finally, I don't care who you are out there, you don't write perfect code, and so troubleshooting is something that you have to do. And we think that we've made it a lot better. So let's talk about what we've done. Let's start with user confusion. So what we're not saying is that your users are unintelligent. What we're saying is sometimes they do get stuck. And when they get stuck, a lot of times you get questions that interrupts the work that you're trying to do. And in the worst case, it means that they give up. And when they give up, your applications don't get adopted. We think that we can help with that. And that's why we built something called guided tours. This is something that's new. This is going to allow you to really easily build integrated assistance right into your applications. We think it's going to be just so great for you. And Pat mentioned that we were building this application for lab management, and we made a bunch of changes to it, changes that are kind of just about ready to go. One of the changes that we made was to the UI, which is a perfect opportunity for us to show you exactly how you would build one of these guided tours into your application. So, Jerry, can you show us exactly what this looks like?
Absolutely. So we're going to start out here in Studio. And what we're going to do is show you one of the tours that we started building a bit earlier. And we're going to go ahead and add a couple of hints for our users, show you how easy that is. So we're going to go ahead and open up our guided tour here. It's going to open a new tab. And here we have our brand new guided tour designer. There's a brand new drag and drop user interface that makes it incredibly simple for building these tours without writing any code whatsoever. So you'll notice in the upper right-hand corner there, there's another submit button. Yes, there are 2 submit buttons. It was not my idea. Nonetheless, we need to make sure that the users aren't confused.
Perfectly good reasons.
So once our users are ready to submit their labs for approval, that's the button they're going to use. So we're going to make it easy for them. Just drag and drop that hint and let them know that this is the final submit button that they need to use. Just bear with me while I type this out. And we'll just click Save. And that's it. We've added a brand new step to our tour. It's that simple. So now that we've got that step added, I want to show you what this looks like for your end users. So right here from this user interface, we can just hit play, lower right-hand corner there. And here's our form. And as soon as we open it up, we've got this great new hint. And these hints aren't just static content. In this case, it's actually going to guide me through the specific process I need to use to fill out this form. So as soon as I fill in this field here, that hint is just going to automatically advance to the next step. All right, these are great hints to take your user through the exact journey they need to go through. No worries about confusion at all. So I'm just going to click through some of these steps we had in place and show you the one that we just added. And there it is. There's a hint right over that additional submit button. And no worries about our users being lost or how to finish with our application.
Very cool. So we really think that this is going to let you just provide a better user experience for your end users, because now you can integrate that assistance right into where they're at, get rid of some of that confusion so you don't get interrupted, and just accelerate the adoption of your applications. Now, okay, so we made some UI changes to this, and we added this, but I happen to know that those weren't the only changes that we made, right? So what other changes did we make to this application?
So we changed the UI, we added that button, and I also made some changes to a few of our scripted REST APIs. A couple of these fields are automatically populated, but I got to be honest, I didn't have a lot of time to test them backstage, so.
Okay. I can't say that I'm surprised. And that's because testing is cumbersome, right? What are your options today? You can do it manually. Takes a lot of time, takes a lot of money. Or you can get a third-party tool, right? A lot of those, though, are fundamentally tied to the UI, which means that on upgrade, what happens? They break. So you're spending more time validating your tests than you are building new features. And that's why we built our automated test framework, so that you can build tests to get rid of some of that, right? So this is exactly what it sounds like. You can create end-to-end tests of your applications and their business process. It also comes with something called a test runner. Now, the test runner is something that runs in a browser, simulating how a user would use your application, so that you can do multi-browser testing simultaneously and understand, do I have a problem in Chrome but not in Safari? And really, really understand exactly what's going to happen. And so also, for those of you writing APIs, which I know a lot of you are writing APIs, you can also test your APIs now with this. So test all of your scripted REST APIs. And you can do this without writing any code. And the best part about all of this is, unlike some of those third-party tools, this is 100% upgrade safe. So I think we've got some tests, right, written for this. So can you show us exactly what this looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're just going to pull up our Cloud Lab Management Test Suite. This is the test suite that we put together for our application, test all of its functionality. And running this suite is incredibly simple. We're just going to click this big obvious button in the right-hand corner there. And now we've got to pick our browser, right? This is the test runner that Jonathan mentioned. We can choose from Chrome or Safari. These are separately connected test runners. Or we can run this directly in our browser right here in this user session. So we're going to run this test suite. And what we've done here is launched a new test runner, and it's going to execute right here in my browser. And you'll notice the user interface start to pop into that window down below. That is the automated test framework running through each of those steps automatically, executing our tests with no interaction from me, right? Just kind of doing what it does. OK, it looks like all of our tests are run. So we're just going to flip over and take a look at those results. And I got some bad news. we got a failure.
Yeah, it's not surprising. But the thing is, we've got a failure, but look what we just did, right? One click, a few seconds later, we know that we have a problem, and we shouldn't push to production. So not a single end user was impacted, which is pretty dang cool.
That is cool. Nobody was impacted, but we do still need to kind of figure out what's going on here. So let's dig in a little bit deeper. I'm going to open up the aging report. Now, this is a report that shows us the test results over time. And this is especially convenient because not only can you run these test suites manually, but you can schedule them at regular intervals, whatever you determine is necessary for your business or your product. Now, left-hand column there with the red, that was our most recent test failure. So given that it was passing recently, I suspect I probably broke something with those changes backstage. But let's make sure. So we'll open up that specific test failure. And this gives us all of the information about what failed there. If we scroll down, we can actually see each of the steps of that test with a description as well as the status. Now, at the bottom, I don't know, it's a little bit hard to see, but at the bottom there, we have a failure when we were trying to submit our form. So we could go and try to reproduce this and see what that failure was. Or we can just scroll back up to the top and open a screen capture. That's a screen capture at the moment that that test failed. And if you look closely, again, it's pretty small for you guys, but there's a field there that says number of student instances. It's got a value of undefined. I wrote this. That's actually that REST API I was mucking with. And it's not supposed to say undefined. It's supposed to be a number. So I'm pretty sure that's where we've got a problem. We're going to have to look into this. What do you think? Should we do this live on stage?
You know what? I wouldn't normally say that we should do this live because we know that troubleshooting has kind of been difficult. But I happen to know that we've got some new capabilities that can help with this. They are so simple. All you use is gs.print to show the value of your variable. And folks, you can do this as many times as you need. Okay, obviously this is not what we did. What we did build, though, is our new script debugger. And Jerry, can we see exactly what this thing looks like?
I would love to show it. So we're back in Studio, and I've opened up our scripted REST API, and we need to go ahead and start debugging this thing. But how are we going to get started? How to get this thing rolling? Well, you start this just like you would expect, with a breakpoint. Anywhere you see a server-side script, you can now set a breakpoint to initiate a debugging session. So we need to execute that code again. We're just going to go ahead and run that test. Oops. And we'll switch over to our brand new script debugger. Now, this is a brand new user interface. In the upper left-hand corner there, it's got all of the information you would expect from a debugger. It's got our stack trace. Now, in the bottom left-hand corner, that's all of our transaction details. This is really powerful information for building on the ServiceNow platform. It's got the URL, request parameters. It even gives us information about the number of queries that have been executed. Right? So this is, like I said, incredibly powerful information for both debugging and optimizing the applications that you're building on the platform. And in the middle there, that's our script currently paused. And on the right-hand side, we've got all of our variables, both our local variables and our global variables.
OK, so we just threw a debugger up on the screen, which I get can be pretty intense, maybe for some people in the audience. This is a dev conference, but I do see some marketing folks in the room. So I'm just going to try to make this a little bit simple for just a second, right? So what we're trying to do is just observe the value of those variables on the right-hand side as the script executes so we can understand exactly what's going on.
Right. So we'll go and step through this script here. And you'll notice on the right-hand side, those are our variables filling in. Much, much easier than sprinkling gs.print throughout your code.
Clearly.
And so I think something might be wrong in this particular function, so we're just going to step into that real quick. And man, I'm kind of embarrassed, Jonathan. I see what the issue is right now. Do you see it by chance?
Let me look.
It's pretty small.
Oh, yeah.
There.
Is it the giant to-do that you left in there?
So if you can't read that, it says to do, uncomment before shipping. And I think that's what was going wrong. I know I'm not the only one who's left it to do in their program for longer than they intended. But it'll take me just a second to take care of this, fortunately.
Okay, I'll buy you some time. So let's talk about what this means, right? Now when you're building and when you're debugging applications on ServiceNow, your feedback loop just got much, much, much faster. You get to observe things while they're happening instead of trying to find out after the fact. And you can do this on any server-side script, be it scoped or unscoped. There's no limit to the number of developers that can be doing this at any one time on an instance, which is not something that can be said for some other platforms out there. And we just think that this is going to make your life so, so, so much easier when troubleshooting. So did I talk long enough for you to fix it?
I've been waiting over here.
OK, great.
OK, so our script's taken care of. I think now we just need to go ahead and run our test suite real quick, make sure that everything's sorted. It's automated, it's fast, so it shouldn't take us too long. Let's see here. OK, cross your fingers. It's fast, but it's not magic. Sorry. All right, that's it. Our tests have finished running. We have everything passed, no red. I think we're good to go.
Right on. Very cool. Yeah, thank you. So what you've seen here is we continue to build for you. And with some of these new tools, with things like guided tours, you can deal with less questions, get better adoption of your applications, automated testing. You can consume upgrades of ServiceNow more quickly and do releases of your applications more quickly. And with this script debugger, you'll be able to spend less time debugging and more time building. We are absolutely committed to building a platform for you developers out there that you'll love and that you can use to build business applications at light speed. Thank you so much.